I'm going to go over 3 tickers. First up is PLTR. This is a look at the chart on the 5-minute time frame. We ended the week at $21.68, down 0.23%. We are at resistance right now. And to the north side of that, and another level of resistance and a potential take profit area, 22.21, 22.47, and at 4 standard deviations, roughly $22.74. To the south side, at negative 2 standard deviations, roughly 21.14. A gap forms to the south side at 21.08, closes out at 20.96. Negative 3 standard deviations and another level of support, 20.88 and 20.62. Ignore the pink lines. Those are my previous buy lines. I'm actually out of this one. I've already sold out. Now looking left, note the clear sell-off right along here, here, and here. And I've turned on the bot. And obviously it gives you a lot more trades than what I like to play. But you can see closer to support, your potential buy-in area. As we get to the middle of the trend, if we are down here and it goes up here, we are at resistance. And you can bet people will take their profits and run. They will lock in and they will leave. Obviously, they will take their profits, but then the stock here, as you can see, goes sideways and then makes another run for it. Let's look at this on the daily time frame and see what is happening. The RSI is turning down right about now. Very little amount here, but still. I am going to find, okay, we're at 21.68, and I know I've marked this out so many times, so it gets hard to tell, but we are right here. So I know that I mark out price with a black backdrop, so it's easier for me to look and see where we are. So the middle of the trend on the daily, if you're doing a swing trade, that takes us to 24.18. And to the south side, 19, let me move this out of the way, roughly 19.51. And I did track this in my gap and go trades, and then it hit the gap that I was tracking, so I stopped putting it in my gap and go trades, and then I swap it out. So I have not cleaned this up for a while here, but let me do it on the 15-minute time frame. That way I can see it just a little bit better. So we've got this gap at 1986. Taking us down to 1672, and another gap at 1742, taking us down to roughly 1494. Back to the 5-minute. Now the next one I'm going to go over is Path. UiPath. Thank you to Trader Murat for pointing this out on Friday. He said for me to check the weekly RSI because it was looking attractive, because he likes to track that as well as I do. And I like to track it, 40 and below, 30 and below preferably, but it never always hits that level. But he noticed it and alerted me to it. So we ended the week at 1226, up 1.57%. The 1-year price target is $17.10, which represents a 39% return from where we are. When I tracked it back in May, we were at $17.92, still pretty close. Now let me give you some price targets for Tuesday before my battery dies here on my computer. Now, this gap begins at roughly 1262. The middle of, excuse me, not the middle, 2 standard deviations and resistance is 1351, 1508, 1673-ish, and The gap fills to the north side at 18.25. It's going to take a while to get there because we are still going down on the 5-minute time frame. So, but this is something to look forward to should we return to this level. But we crashed. See, it happens so often where you tank on earnings. And that's why a lot of people don't like to play earnings, because you just never know what's going to happen. So look at this. They reported $335 million, and the estimate word on the street was going to be 333, and we ran past that, but yet they got punished. People took their profits and they ran, and look at that. Boom, and then we base. And I almost got in at this point, but I was tracking something else. Other things were going on, and I didn't. And if we go into the red on Monday, which I'm hoping, because we are at a critical point right here, 70 and above, we could go just a little higher and then go back down. I don't like to buy on green days. I like to buy on red days for that stock or the ticker. So that's just my little thing that I like to do. All right, so 18.25, and then to the south side, if I got sidetracked here, 10.33. So I will anticipate a bounce there. 7.14, 5.51, and roughly 3.92. Fingers crossed we don't get that low. And so over here, Murat also pointed this stock out, seems. Oh, he said that it was on Zacks strong buy list, number 1 on their buy list. Oh, let's see. We've got some gaps to look forward to. This one will take us all the way to 22.19. We are a long ways off. This thing will whip you around before it gets and fills up there, but something to be aware of. Let's go on the daily. Ooh, I like that. I like the RSI down here. That's when I start to look at things for the longer term. But I like to do it on the monthly. That's my favorite. All right, so we are right here. And back at the middle of the trend on the daily takes us to 22.74. And to the south side, where I expect a bounce, 17.54-ish. And this gap filled, so we gapped up, so that would fill down. So it filled right over here. Consider gaps an opportunity to increase the probability of your odds lining up. So we gapped up, so I anticipate gap down. So visually, I like to change it out to red. So when I look at this in the big picture, I know the gaps either went to the upside or to the downside. So look at this. This is a massive fall. $41. And look where we are now, 12.26. The 52-week high, though, is just 27.87. We're long past this area, unfortunately. So Murat said, check it out on the weekly. So that's looking very attractive to me as well. And not quite there, but close enough on the monthly. If you're looking for that target of 30, we're almost there. So I will be keeping my eyes on this one for sure. Maybe I'll get my mom into it as well for a longer term trade. The next one I want to go over is a trade that I got stopped out of once again because I didn't pay attention. I set a sell limit a while ago and it hit, and originally I wanted to get out because when we start to ride up to 2 standard deviations, I want to get out, usually along there or there, and then try to buy it back down here or lower, or at a profit of 10%. It just depends on the ticker, what my goal is. So what happened is I think I bought in. I don't know why I wrote this. I bought in accidentally 2 times on April 3rd at 6.58. Well, I wanted to get out. So when we were in this area, and then we fell back down, and then now I wanted to get out again, but there was this gap that was attracting me to this area, so I kind of wanted to stay in, but whatever, it's okay, because typically this is a sell line and a sell signal, but this would have been much better. But now I'm going to wait to get down to here again and see if I can get back in. But if I mark this out correctly, this was my buy line, and my sell line was right, let me turn off the magnet, right here. So I bought in at 658, allegedly, supposedly, and sold out at 680. All right, so that's a return of roughly 3.36%. Now, if I had the stomach or didn't set my sell limit because I wasn't paying attention once again, that would take me to 840, and then the red line, the blue line takes me to 10%. That's what I like to do. But I got a little ahead of myself setting the sell limit and then didn't go back, and that's what happens. You got to be really on top of it if that's what you're trying to do, getting in and getting out. And when I sold, this was at 2 standard deviations, and now we've gone just a little bit higher over, wait a minute, let me get rid of this. So when I sold, we were at 2, and now below 2, because the lines constantly change. All right, that does it for me. That is a look at Palantir, which I do own, Path, which I don't own, and Skills. And the next recording I'm going to do will be my gap and go trades. Have a great trading day.